What is going on, guys? Jason Burke here, Styles Clash for Life, coming at you on YouTube, and today I've got another edition of The Drive-In, where I watch recently released films and tell you guys whether they're worth watching, worth waiting for, or worth skipping altogether. Today I've got a brand new movie that just came out about a week or so ago on Netflix. Netflix is the most popular platform. It is the most widely distributed, I guess. Everyone's got Netflix, and a new horror film came out that caught my eye, so I just put it on a lark without knowing anything about it, no trailers, no background, and I watched 2022's Choose or Die. And I think this is going to be one of the more divisive reviews that I do in 2022 for horror films because this did not get very good reviews. If you look online and you start looking at all the ratings and IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes and all that stuff, this did not get very good ratings, and a lot of the reviews that I saw after I kind of wrote out what I thought mine was going to be, I watched the film, I gave my opinion to myself, I took notes, and then I started looking up other reviews. And I should have waited, but I didn't, and I saw that pretty much everyone either disliked this film or thought it was very middle of the road. I'm going to bring you guys a bit of a differing opinion here. I really enjoyed this film. This film was directed by Toby Meekins, who I think this is his feature film debut. He's done one or two episodes of TV and a couple short films, but no feature films until now. And written by Meekins, Matthew James Wilkinson, and Simon Allen, none of which I've really heard of. I know a couple guys did a few things for TV, but I hadn't really heard these names before, so it was a pretty new crew to me, and also a fairly new cast. It was starring Lola Evans, Asia Butterfield, and a voiceover by Robert Englund. We all know who that is, Mr. Freddy Krueger himself. And the idea behind Choose or Die is essentially this guy is escaping his fighting family. He's in his little game room. He's playing this video game. And as he starts to play the game, he notices that what happens on screen happens in real life. Now you're saying to yourself, this is not a revolutionary concept. This has been done before with like Brain Scan in the 90s. I think there was an 80s movie that was like this as well. There is Stay Alive in 2006 or 7 that did this concept. So, of course, there's things like Jumanji that are non-horror that came before this as well. So there have been plenty of these done in the past. You know, you start playing the game, it sucks you in, and then by the time you're in, you can't get out because everything that happens in real life, or happens in the game, happens in real life. So this is not a revolutionary concept by any means. What is different is kind of the way they execute the story. Right off the bat, this thing runs an hour and 24 minutes. So once you count credits, you got an hour and 20. So you got a very svelte, tight movie, which plays this out well because, again, some of those other movies are quite a bit longer, and they can tend to drag because once you get the plot and you realize these guys are stuck in the game and then they have to fight for their lives inside this game world, you go, okay, what else is there? Well, it comes down to what the reveal is. You know, why is this happening? Who did this? And how are they going to get out of it? So you really don't leave yourself a lot of room for dragging out the plot. So having an hour and 20 minutes plus credits really does this well because the pacing is a really good part of this film. I feel like everything is done for a reason. One of my big notes here is that I feel like everything they're doing is either setting up a kill situation or a danger situation where there's a lot of tension, or it's building the characters in the background. It gives you some time, even with an hour and 20 minutes, to be alongside the characters and to cheer for your main characters. So I feel like every scene is giving you background into these main characters' lives. These people aren't just thrown together and, oh my god, we're stuck in a video game. Lola Evans' character, who I recognized her from a couple things in the past, she is a really good leading lady in this film. And Asia Butterfield, I hope I'm saying that name right, is also really talented as well. They've had a few credits in the past, and I feel like these characters are portrayed pretty realistically. Their home lives, again, I won't get into spoilers, it's a brand new movie, so spoiler free here. So I'm going to try and talk around the plot points. But I feel like these guys, they're built like actual realistic kind of early age college students. They have kind of, the places they live are not too extravagant. Their clothes aren't too extravagant. They talk about their traumas openly. Their dialogue feels realistic. I like the way it's written here because these teenagers slash late high school, early college students, they're intelligent, but they're written very realistically. You often see kids that are just living beyond their means and able to talk beyond their means, and they're kind of written too smart for their own good, or they're kind of given too many easy outs. These characters have a lot of trauma built into their situations, and they're written like a millennial society. I like the way these characters are written. Robert Englund, obviously, being the voice as kind of so I'll just say you call into a phone line for a part of this, and there's a voiceover guy for the phone line. That's Robert Englund. You don't see him on screen at all, but you hear him introduce himself as Robert Englund, and he kind of has that Freddy rasp to him, and he's doing the '80s kind of Nightmare on Elm Street meets 976 Evil, which he also directed. Which is really, really great nostalgia. And that's another note of mine. This is very nostalgic to me. And I know that, again, we have movies like Stay Alive that I really enjoy. Stuff like Brain Scan and 976 Evil and stuff like that. It reminds you of those times. And I grew up on these. I have a soft spot for video game movies, which might slant my opinion a little bit. Video game horror is a genre that I really enjoy. I've never seen one that I've totally hated. These always just feel like a fast-paced good time to me. Even the scenes in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies when Freddy's in video games and doing video game kills, I just tend to always enjoy this stuff. So while this might not take off with everybody, it might not seem super fresh, to me it hits this nostalgic point in me. Having kids running around trying to escape a video game just reminds me of Tales from the Crypt and the Are You Afraid of the Dark episode and just stuff like that. This almost kind of sci-fi supernatural world meets the pains of the real world and the traumas of the characters. And that's where you get a powerfully acted, wonderfully nostalgic film that I really enjoyed. I also like the original graphics. You get some graphics in the credits. You get some graphics on screen. Sorry, I keep getting phone calls. You get graphics on screen, and you get graphics in the credits, and it sort of it blends the two worlds together. You start to think, when are they actually in a video game? You know, is this a dream? Are they asleep? Are they inside the game or are they outside the game? It gives you that psychological feel where nothing is really ever safe. Anytime the world starts to become a little bit surrealistic, you're wondering if you're part of the game or how much of the game is going to come onto screen. So you're blending the two worlds of the realistic traumas and the actual video game stuff, which is really, really cool. The gore and the effects in general, again, the effects go along with some of the on-screen stuff, but the gore and the effects are pretty cool in this. Yeah, there's a couple of like kill/torment things that are a little bit cheesy, but I feel like for the most part they're pretty well done. I mean, even the ones that are a bit cheesy, again, are wrapped in nostalgia. They remind you of classic kills from 80s and 90s slashers, and they're done pretty well. They look pretty good for the most part. I really enjoyed the effects in this movie. Anytime you get kind of a fight for your life movie, you want some cool kills and you want some cool locations, and this does this. This puts you in some realistic, dingy, sometimes surrealistic, dreamlike locations, and you get some really cool kills along with it. So really, really into that in general. The lore for this is cool too. I can't give the story away. It just came out, spoiler free. But the lore for this is good. They set it up in a good way. This game was created for something cool. You have some kind of power-hungry characters, some antagonists to get to. You're building level by level. Kind of each challenge you complete sends you to another level. So it has kind of that truth or dare without all the cheesiness kind of thing going on. And there is kind of a boss battle. You get the final boss situation. So they create antagonists and give you a good reason as to why they're doing what they're doing. And so it all makes sense. So for something like this, like I mentioned earlier in the video, you want a good reason for why the game was created and how this happened. And they give it to you. They give you a clear answer so you're not left wondering and just kind of sitting there going, oh, I wasted my time watching this. They give you a clear answer and a clear antagonist and a clear way to get to where you want to get to. So you can follow the character's journey pretty easily. I like that. I also enjoyed the acting. It wasn't perfect. I mentioned before, Robert Englund, Lola Evans, Asia Butterfield. It wasn't perfect. There were moments of kind of like, that wasn't dramatic enough, or you're not reacting quickly enough to your situation. But being in a surrealist environment and having to react, you got to take some time to do that. And overall, I thought it was pretty good. The chemistry with the two main characters was pretty good. Again, they were portrayed realistically. The acting matched up with the writing pretty well. And I think overall this is a fun time. Again, it's not going to revolutionize anything. It's a video game horror film. You've seen some of these before. But I think between the pretty cool effects, the nostalgia, the location, the graphics, the kills, and the general acting and the story of it, I think you're going to have a good time. It's only an hour and 20 minutes. It's available on Netflix. Go check it out and just at the very least have a good time. I've seen a lot of people that review this say it was just an average middle-of-the-road film that was a good time. You may like that. If you want to hear Robert Englund a little bit and you want to feel nostalgia and watch a pretty cool, quick horror film, you'll like this. For me, with all the things that I said, it's got a soft spot in my heart. It takes me back to a good place. I like the character's journey. I like the trauma they had to overcome. I like them being in it together and how realistically it was written and kind of where the story went. They set it up well and they paid it off well, and it's possibly even open again for some sequels. So hopefully they're going to make some more low budget, pretty fun sequels to this. We shall see, but I gave this film an 8 out of 10. That might be a little high for most of you. It's going to be a higher rating for other reviewers than other reviewers have, but again, this for me was quite a good time, and I hope they do more. This goes into my top 2 or 3 this year, along with like Slapface from Shudder, which is also great, and X from A24, which is also in theaters right now. So check those out too. But go check out Choose or Die on Netflix. If you have seen it already, tell me in the comments below what you thought. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like these deep dive horror videos, and if you want to see more content, me covering from Shudder, Hulu, HBO Max, Netflix, stuff like that. I'm bringing you guys all the new horror films in 2022, and this is one of my favorites of the year so far. Tell me what you think, and I'll see you soon.